So, welcome everybody to this seminar today, Building Bridges Between People and Across Culture. It is my pleasure to have today with us Dolors Masats. She's um, she's she has a degree in English and German Studies and a PhD in education. Well, she started her career years ago by teaching in schools, in secondary schools, in prisons, in refugees camps, and in Catalan universities when where she's currently working at Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona as a lecturer and researcher at the Department of Language and Literature Education and Social Science Education. She also trains in-service and pre-service teachers, design materials and curricula, and conducts projects on research and innovation. She is a founding member of a Research Center for Plurilingual Interaction and Education and the International Association Éducation et Diversité Linguistique et Culturelle. She also carries out advisory tasks for the Ministry of Education and Higher Education of the Government of Andorra, and she's a member of the consultant team of MEDLA, Mediation in Teaching, Learning and Assessment, projects supported by the European Centre for Modern Languages and the Council of Europe. So it just said a few things, but I'm sure that from her expertise, we're going to learn lots of things today. So welcome, Dolores.
Welcome, everybody,
Now
and
the floor is yours.
thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the invitation. I hope you enjoy this talk. I've planned to just talk, but if somebody feels that you need to interrupt, you can ask questions in the chat, and somebody can read the questions for me because I do not know if I can access the chat while I'm sharing the
Yeah,
screen.
I will do that for you.
Okay, thank you. So
Okay.
when I was invited to do this talk, the first thing I had to think of was a title. And I like the idea of using the word bridges because I like the quote you have on the screen in yellow by Isaac Newton, that people build too many walls and not enough bridges. And I think that it's our role and duty as educators to build bridges among ourselves and our students, but bridges also between peoples in general and across cultures. And this is a little bit what I want to talk about today. So I don't know why I cannot change. Okay. So I don't know if you recognize this photograph. It was taken in France by Robert Capa, whose real name was André Erno Friedman, and was a popular photographer and Jewish refugee who was documenting visually the situation of Spanish refugees during Spanish Civil War. So this is long ago, but if we compare this picture to this one, sorry, I don't know what it's slow to change. Okay, okay, to this one, there are not many differences. Why one is in black and white and the other is in color, but the situation is the same. This one is taken by Srđan Zilubovic, and it was taken in Slovenia, but we see the same. We see a group of people that are marching, hoping for a better place to live because they've lost everything in their home country. So I like to compare these two pictures because it's sad to compare them. It's sad because it means that as citizens, we tend to forget things. And once we had our people being refugees, and today we close our borders to other. So I think that it's the task of teachers and on schools to help people remember our history, remember who we are, where we come from, and also to develop empathy. So that one of the things we need to do is start opening the borders. Okay, this is a photograph in Barcelona where the borders were finally opened for these two young men. Another thing, this is the same young man with two kids that you will become familiar with very soon. All the pictures I'm showing, I have permission for showing them because I was in a group in ECO project in Greece, in a refugee camp, and part of our work there is to try to make people conscious about the situations that refugees live. So one of the things that impressed me the most was how angry children were to have this label of refugee. And they were saying very often, we are not refugees. I am not refugee. That's not a nationality. I'm Syrian. So this idea of labeling people is problematic from the very start. And it's something that we need to take into account. Then, these are two of the boys that you saw in the, well, one of the boys that you saw in the previous picture. This photograph is taken by this man that you have here, who was also in a refugee camp in Greece. And the way he found to forget about what's going on was to become a reporter. And he has done a lot of incredible works on photography, on video, to report that everything was going on. But I would like to focus on these three children, and I will play, if you allow me, a rap in which they are the rappers. So let me see if I can change. It's difficult. The computer is not. Do you have any idea how can I leave the screen? Carol?
You have to press the stop sharing my screen, then you open the video, and then you again share your screen.
But you don't see the video
now?
now?
You're doing it now. Okay, yeah. Oops.
I don't know what happened.
Queremos un mundo donde quepan muchos mundos, un mundo libre donde juntos poder amar, poder soñar, poder luchar, poder cambiar este mundo otra vez. Queremos un mundo donde quepan muchos mundos, un mundo libre donde juntos poder
This is Echo.
soñar, poder luchar, poder cambiar.
Oh, this was Echo.
Este mundo otra vez.
I spent my life from work to work. I hope one day I cross the world. In our heads, dream new world. Please, everybody join us and shout. Eco is big community, really close to Braziliki. People come and sing this song and jump with us for free. Go! Eco is strong, Eco is hope. Everybody Eco, make some noise. Eco is life, Eco is unity. Everybody Eco dance for one world community. Eco is strong, Eco is hope. Everybody Eco, make some noise. Eco is life, Eco is unity. Everybody Eco dance for one world community. سوري يا حبيبتي يا أم الكل، حياتي كانت بيكي فل، يا ريتني أعود جمالي بجود. سوري يا حبيبتي يا أم الكل، أنا سركم بشعاري والوحدة، اسمي أكبر باسمي باسمي. فتح عينك حل بلدنا بس إلك وحدك، يا جدي وجدك وشرف. Eco is strong, Eco is hope. Everybody Eco, make some noise. Eco is life, Eco is unity. Everybody Eco dance for one world community.
queremos un mundo donde quepan muchos mundos, un mundo libre donde
Here it says we want a world that can fit many worlds in it.
cambiar este mundo otra vez.
Sing, xarxa, teixint afinitats entre tots els immigrants un espai de dignitat. Rebentem fronteres, obrim els camps. Camí de basílica als països catalans.
They were singing now in Catalan, my mother tongue. So let's go back to the presentation. So why did I show you the video? Because the first thing, as it says in the abstract, this talk has like twofold objective. First, I want to present some projects carried out in schools here in my country, in Catalonia, and then I want to talk about how to welcome refugees in our classrooms. Okay, so for the first part of the talk, how to make our children aware of the situation and how they turn them into active citizens that can do something, or at least can develop empathies towards the situation. I think that the best approach is to get them to know real children, but present the real children not as victims, which they are victims of the situation, but some real children that they have some sort of power. And I think that this rap has a lot of power and give power to these children, these three children, because they are the voices of many others who are asking for a better world. So based on this video, we use this rap to introduce these children and the situation of refugees to a group of primary kids. The project in primary had 3 steps. First, it was a mathematics project. So the children, the school had acquired recently some 3D printers, and children were learning how to use and operate the 3D printer. They were in maths, they were learning about 3D shapes, and they were learning how to design objects that later on they wanted to, the first idea that it was that they wanted to sell them and create like a marketing campaign to collect money and send it to the children in Greece. So this is one of the things they were doing. They were learning arts and crafts, and they were learning mathematics and English, because these children were very young. They were 7-year-olds, but they were done this in English, in a classroom where the English teacher and the arts craft teacher were co-teaching. Then the second step, in the second step, they were designing this marketing campaign, which consisted on designing like a poster. There was like a contest, and this was the winning poster. But there was also a contest on which of the objects that they were drawing, and this is why they were doing arts and crafts, they were drawing could later be translated into a 3D object thanks to the printing machine. So basically they were creating things to use as pendants, and this was one of the materials, this dove as a symbol of peace, that they created. Part of the campaign was also, and you have it here on the screen, on the, I don't know where to put this, on the right, was to advertise it. So they had to learn how to sell what they were doing, or sell or make it known to the people in their village. So they had to contact the local radio and the local television. They had to create a day in which people had to come to school. In the end, it was a week. They decided that they didn't have much time because they wanted to do this during the break at the school, during break time, and the first hour after finishing the classes every day. So for a week, They took turns. They organized all the events, and they created also this tree, and they were giving people like paper leaves, and people had to write down a wish for a better world, and they put it here on the tree. And then with the money that they collected, they sent it to these 3 kids. Why these 3 kids? Because they were students of mine in Greece, so I had the contacts of their families, and we could organize some activity together. I went to the class a few times, and then I told them about the situation. So this first we needed permission by parents, of course, because we had to deal with this topic that was a little bit sensitive. Because when we were presenting, there is another video in which these kids are in Greece. They are taking part in a you will see later, in a TV program, and they interview themselves and other people in the camp. So through those interviews for primary kids, we simply designed a very simple activity in which they had to discover the names of each of the 3 singers, the age, and the country where they came from. And then we told them about the journey. So this is part of the journey. And then we also talk about means of transport and how they move from one country to another when they are on holidays, and how difficult it is for somebody who wants to leave the country and is not on holidays and is not allowed to leave the country. They saw pictures of Syria in present time, and we talk about their lives. So we talk about death. And this was a good opportunity because some of the kids, there was one of the kids in the classroom, for example, that connected with that because he had recently suffered from the loss of his father. And he said, oh, I am like them. I also lost my father. So we could talk about feelings, personal feelings, and empathize with them, which they were addressed as our new friends. During the development of the project, it was the birthday of one of them, of Noor, and children decided to create, like as a present, pictures with some words. So they were learning, 7-year-olds learning to write in English. So they were writing birthday wishes. I love your rap. Happy birthday, Noor. And this was sent to Noor. And then Noor and the other kids sent a thank you message back. So there was really contact between the kids. So it was not somebody abstract, somebody who it was not simply a face, it was a name, it was a voice, it was a person, a child like them. With this same video, and this is what I said, this is the a photograph, a screenshot of the video program. With this same video, you can find, I will give this to the organizers, so you can find the materials here, but I'll try to show them to you. Okay, it's slow, to press exit. No. Okay, I cannot leave the presentation, so I cannot show it to you. Well, it doesn't matter. With the same video, we created a different activity. In this case, it lasts for 4 hours for students, secondary students, also in a secondary school in Catalonia, where they had to create a rap in response to the rap that they had seen and that you have seen. What's important in both projects is that our children the children in Catalonia develop literary skills because they learn to deal with technology, they learn to deal with media, they learn to deal with information, they develop English, which is the second language. They also develop learning skills because they have to be creative, they have to collaborate, communicate, but much more important than that, they develop life skills. They develop especially social skills and empathy towards a situation. And I think that if our children today are develop this empathy towards this situation, perhaps when they are adults like that, they will create a better world. And what we are facing now as adults, they won't be facing it as adults themselves. So this is the hope. If you are working with secondary students and you want to see the materials, this is the link, and they are free. It's a PDF file with all the activities, with the detail of the length and the links to all the videos, because as I said, all the videos published by ECHO are free and they are open for everybody who wants to use them. So this was my wish to develop future citizens that will have more empathy than the one that we have now towards this crisis that we are living. And it's now turn, after my wish, it's the turn to move to the second part of the talk, which is what can we do when we have the children in our classrooms. We need to, first of all, we need to recognize who our children are. And this is important because we tend to judge people by their looks. And sometimes we label as immigrant children who do not look like us, just to say, sort to say, or that they look like they belong to a certain ethnic group or a certain culture, and we do not know if they are actually born in our country. So not everybody that is not like us is an immigrant, and we need to take that into account, and that is very important. It's also very important to acknowledge that those who are immigrants, they do not need labels, as those children were saying. We are not refugees, we are Syrian. They don't need labels. We need to know where they are from, because we need to know about their culture, and we need to know what they know. By this I mean, for example, if they come from a country in whose language doesn't have the same alphabet as ours, one of the bigger problems students will have is to know how to learn a new alphabet. And for a 12-year-old, for example, learning to learn a new alphabet is something very frustrating, because it's like starting to read again for the first time. It's not the same as what we experience when we are trying to learn German or English or a language that share the same alphabet with us. That's important. It's also important to find information about how they learned in their country. For example, in this picture here, I'm using my fingers to help this child count. Why am I doing that? This was a mathematics class. You will not recognize the pictures, and you might be surprised when I said that these pictures are taken in Argentina. So these 4 pictures is Argentina. Because probably this is not the image we have when we think of Argentinian kids. So why I'm saying that it's important to know about their culture and about what they learn at school, because what I learned there, I was trying to help this child do some mathematics problem, and we didn't employ the same method to do a multiplication or to do a division, because each culture has their own way of representing those calculations. Obviously, the results are the same, but the way that we approach that is different. I've seen some children here in my country struggle because, for example, children from Chinese origin are really, really, really good at mathematics when they arrive. That's one of the things they are very good at. But they have problems in understanding how we make the calculations, because the process is completely different. So we need to be aware of that, because we need to look at our children, and instead of focusing on what they don't know how to do or they are not very good, we need to focus on what they are good at. And this is the only way that we can empower them. Then if we think about which activities are suitable for them, we need to think that, first of all, we need to change our classrooms and make them more participative. And this is an advantage not only for the newcomers, but also for the students who are in our country. We need to make them more participative, because in order to learn a new language, the first thing we need to do is to learn to communicate in this language. As I said, the written code is a struggle that we do not need to face children with from the very start. Perhaps what we need to do is to welcome them in our language, but promote a lot of oral activities. And for these oral activities, we need a lot of visual materials. I will give you some websites where you can find visual materials that you can use in our classrooms. These other string here are examples of those materials. The first two represent two stories. It's actually the same story, the milkmaid and her milk. And this is the story, the milkmaid and her milk is the story we know like in Western society. And this is the story of Nasreddin, which is well known in Morocco. And it's the same story, but obviously the characters are different. So one of the activities that we propose with these two pictures is to let children have in groups or in pairs. We have like two groups or two children, and one has one picture and the other has the other picture, and they need to find out or they need to retell the stories and find the similarities and differences. This is the same activity, but in this case, this is not about literature. This is about how cities changes over time. This is meant to be like two portraits of the same street in the city of Barcelona. So this is good when you practice about history and how cities change or how societies evolve. Sorry. So these are these pictures, and you can find more here in this project, Multilingual MOOCs. This project, as you can see here, was promoted by the European Commission as an Erasmus Key Action 2, and the objective was to develop materials for teaching in multilingual classrooms. And what you have here are links to articles. Some are in Catalan because these were the ones that were created by my team, and this is my team, Carol referred to this research center at the beginning. But if you enter this website, you will find also some in German. So basically, these are like very brief theoretical articles. Very brief, I mean like 3-4 pages, so they are really very brief, addressed at teachers, not addressed at researchers, but addressed as teachers, like practical examples. There are also materials like the ones that I've shown you. Some of the materials are like flashcards that you can use in the classrooms. We have flashcards for a lot of the actions that children need to do in the classrooms, because we think that one of the, in order to help them cross the bridge between oral language into written language, it's good if they understand the instructions, what they are expected to do. And we have like pictures that illustrate if students are expected to write, to listen, to talk, to draw, to make calculations, to reflect. And they are pictures that can be used in any language. So you simply need, they are Word documents that if you need the words, you can simply use the pictures and change the words. Again, as the pictures were paid by this project, they are there and everybody can use them for free, because this is why we work in this project for, to give access to materials to other teachers. And most important, that all the materials that we create, all the activities that we can prepare for them, one of the most important thing is to create a refugee-friendly school. And if I can exit the presentation, I will show a video that was created by Carol as part of our project. So our project commissioned Carol the creation of this video, and I'm going to show it to you. It's just 4 minutes. It was ready, but now it's slow. The idea of displaying keywords can be done with flashcards that you can find in the website. The idea of focusing on what they are good at. The idea of offering support to them, but also of choosing them to support other children, because sometimes they bring a lot of languages into our classrooms. This idea of not forcing them to talk about their experience is very important, because no one wants to be pointed out as being different. Again, the idea of pictures, of encouraging interaction. Okay. Now that I am not sharing the PowerPoint, I'll show you the materials I refer to for the secondary school. So as you can see, everything, all the tasks are here with the links to each of the videos and the minutes that you need to have a look at. This is a task on how to exploit the rap video. And there are a lot of questions in which children need to reflect also about their situation. This is like a biography of the photographer that took this picture that I show you also earlier. Again, this photograph is taken by another photographer who also gave us permission to use the photograph in these materials. And this is more, this part here, task 6, is more related to what was actually going on, the campaigns going on in Catalonia, but you can change these by pictures from your own country, and then this is just task 6, and then all the rest can be used without making any changes. And about the pictures that I mentioned in the website of the European project, they are basically designed for thinking about primary kids. But there are also 2 MOOCs that you can have a look at, which is talking about, for example, this one is about scaffolding. So how to scaffold writing when you have children of immigrant origin in your classrooms. But there are other topics, so introduction to multilingualism in school, arrival in a new country, or vocabulary acquisition. So basically this is what I wanted to show to you. So I do not know if I can stop sharing. How can I stop sharing the screen?
You should have a button that says stop sharing the screen.
I can't find the button. Sorry.
Okay, if you want, you can just leave on the last slide of your presentation.
Okay,
Or the
back
first.
to the last slide. I think I like this one first better. So our wishes. So I don't know. It was 40 minutes. I think that this is what you ask. I can answer questions, or I don't know what. What's the procedure
Well,
now?
now it's time for questions. If any of our participants would like to make any questions, just use the chat.
Well, there is somebody who says that was a refugee and knows how it
Martina
is when you
Jerkovic.
come in a new place. Perhaps, I don't know. Yeah, perhaps you want to share your voice. Perhaps not.
Let's see. Let's give her some time and see if she's answering.
A lot of people from Turkey. I love Turkey. I've never been to Moldova, perhaps in the future, nor to Albania, nor to Tunisia. That's a must.
Are there any questions for the expert?
I don't understand Turkish, so I don't know what Hasi is saying. Hasi Ismail.
Hello, it's Marta. Actually, I don't have a
Oh,
question,
Ankara,
but
not
I
Marta.
would like to make a comment because thank you very much. It was really interesting and inspiring, and thank you very much for sharing your experience and expertise with us today. Really appreciate. It was really, really inspiring for me, and I think also for the participants because I see a lot of positive comments in the chat and reactions. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. I don't like to consider myself an expert. I'm learning. We are all learning because every child, every situation is unique. And I think that I'm growing with them.
That's true, and it's really beautiful. So Martina said, I don't have any questions. I just want to say you are beautiful. I'm sure she's pleased with.
Thank you. There is a thing I forgot to mention that it's very important to know where they come from because sometimes we are not aware of that, but they have conflicts with what we represent. I will give you the example. If you let me go back to Argentina, to those children that you saw there, they are from a community of Aborigine community called Witches. And their problem is that even nowadays, in the 20th century, they struggle to for their rights in their own country, in Argentina. So, and they fight for the survival of their culture and of their language. So the relationship between Spanish and Wichi is not very nice. So when these children arrive in Spain, we are not aware. We think, oh, Argentina, oh, they speak Spanish. Yeah, wonderful. They only need to learn Catalan. That's fantastic. And we are not aware sometimes that their what or their feelings toward Spanish are not as nice as we think they are. And being categorized as Spanish is only a consequence of us ignoring their culture and who they are. And the same happens with all the cultures we have in our classes. In here at the university, I teach a course on plurilingual education, and there was a student last year who obviously had some sort of Muslim background, by the way she was dressed. And I asked the students in the classroom um, if if they knew which languages she spoke. And they had been with her for 3 years, and everybody assumed that her language was Arabic, and it was not. Because we tend to believe also that everybody from Morocco um, belongs to the same culture. And in fact, the girl was Amazigh. And she thanked me at the end because for the first time he could say something about her culture to her classmates. And she's very good, she's in very good friends with everybody in the classroom. But we have simply, or we are not used to think about how others or other cultures may feel ignored because of our ignorance. And this is why I think it's important to build bridges and not walls.
That was
No, I don't know Tunisia, I'm sorry. But I've been told that it's very nice. From the countries that you are mentioning, I only know Italy. Actually, many years ago, I started learning Italian because I was in love with an Italian. And these things happen. These are motivation for learning languages. And I know some of the cities in Turkey that you are mentioning, like Ankara. I think that you have the best museum in the world, the Museum of Civilization. I must return to Ankara to visit the museum again. And I also fell in love with Istanbul. But the Museum of Ankara, recommendation. The Museum of Civilization, the best in the world. No, I don't know Alcazar Valley. You see, I would like to be able to know all these places. The more we travel, the more we open our minds. Does anybody want to share something? Something that you live in our
I saw
classrooms
that some
or
people, in while you were speaking, were saying that some of them are like hundreds of students Syrian from Syrian uh, in the chat.
where do you see that?
So yeah,
But I'm in the chat and I don't see that. Okay, if we talk about Syrian, the same problem that we have that I mentioned between Spanish and Wichi, for example, we also find in Syria because we also tend to think that everybody in Syria is of Arabic origin. But there are a lot of people from Kurdistan. There are a lot of Kurdish in Syria, and the situation in the camps was not very nice. Sometimes they had to live apart because even in dreadful times, they still uh, bring with them their memories of what their relationship was like in their home countries, and we also need to bear that in mind as well. um, Carol, somebody says that you need to schedule a session to discover the traditions of Tunisia. If you do that,
count.
please invite me
I
to
count you
attend.
in. Yeah, sure.
Not as an expert,
Then
but
I
as a
need to find
learner.
someone to do
I would
that.
like to.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, I think there are a lot of
Okay,
people on the
so
chat that could do that.
if there are not other questions or
Somebody's asking if they
where?
need to fill in an application form. Perhaps you can answer this question.
Do we need to fill an application form? Application
In
for
the
what?
chat, somebody says, do we need to fill an application?
I don't know. I don't know what is
No, no.
about. Well, so we can call it a day. Thank you so very much for being with us, Dolores.
Mhm.
It was a pleasure, and I see that people are happy to and
You're
very
welcome.
pleased to be here. Yeah, no one can
What I'm
see your
sorry is I
face
cannot
either.
see your
Actually,
faces. I like to see
I
people's
can
faces.
I can share mine. I think the only thing you missed from doing once you click on the camera, you also have to click again to share your screen.
Mm-hmm.
Your screen, sorry, your camera, but it's okay. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. It was a pleasure, and I hope we see many of us again in the next webinar. Thank you again, Dolores.
Thank you again for the invitation. You see, I cannot. Somebody has the hand
Oh,
up.
Yes, but
Sembra.
oh yeah,
unfortunately we cannot do anything for
Mhm.
this. If they have questions, they have to type them in the chat.
Okay, sorry.
So thank you very much for being here to all the participants, and I wish you a good evening and stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.